Had some questions about the mandolin chuck, and thought I'd just explain it this way. I guess there's a couple different kinds of chucks that I use, depending on what type of song I'm playing, or just what type of sound I want to get. I guess the first thing is that to get the real chuck, that's why we use these 4-finger chords like this, instead of playing your G chord with all these open strings, because those open strings just ring even when you try to chuck them. You use these 4-finger chords, and that way you have the ability to release your left hand fingers and get that muting property that enables you to make that chuck. And that's just a lot of times you hear people kind of let that first one ring and then you chop the second one, and just to chop it is you let it ring for a microsecond and then you release, and that just takes a lot of practice. But and on the chop stroke you really whip your hand by, so you get this percussive sound across all the strings. And that's a pretty standard chuck pattern that you use. I think on old Billman Rowe recordings I used to hear chordal. Instead of getting that, he would use the actual notes and the popping of that chord as the chuck rather than the. So that's kind of one reference you can work from. On really fast bluegrass tunes, you won't even pop that chord at all. You're just going for percussion. Honestly, it doesn't even matter what you're doing with your left hand. A lot of times when I'm playing a really fast song and I'm singing, I'll just do this, and it's just to get that percussion. The slower tunes are the ones where you can really hear that chordal chop, so it's nice to do. And that brings up a waltz. That was a waltz right there, and that's a different sort of chuck pattern. Typically you would do, let that first one ring and then you chop the second, the 2 and the 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'm emphasizing actually the 1 and the 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So, yeah, that's the chuck. So you've got your basic sort of quick chord and then release, and then you've got your really fast tunes where you're just doing the percussion, and the waltz is going to be a different pattern. And I guess the thing to keep in mind is a real loose grip on your pick. You just kind of rakes across the strings, and when you're doing that chop stroke, your hand's moving faster than when you're doing a chordal strum. So. Fast when you're making that chord, it's going to be loud and fast. So yeah, you kind of speed up to get that, so you don't hear individual strings. You just get that, and it's not a real loose, or it's not a real tight grip on your pick. They're just, and you'll find if you do it right. I don't know if you can see that, but after a weekend of gigging, my index fingernail will be completely flat across the top because of just gently raking across the tops of those strings when I chop like that. So, hope that's helpful.